I think that two different clients, one with a higher budget and one with a lower budget, that just because the client with the higher budget has a higher budget, if their scope of work is the same as the other client, that those two clients should pay the same amount. I don't know if we're the number one mobile app builder in Nashville. I think we are, but it's a small world. We've done the Radish Kitchen app. We've done the Edley's Barbecue app, like both incredible restaurants in Nashville.
Yeah.
I would hate a world where one business owner goes to the other business owner and goes, hey, we have the same app. Like, why did I pay double?
On Creative Assembly's The Spark podcast, our mission is to amplify Nashville's diverse creative voices, foster growth through shared journeys, and inspire a city that thrives on collaboration. And now, here's The Spark.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Spark. I'm your host, Mark Scrivner, and today I'm so excited to be sitting down with Vincent Phamvan from Vyten. Vincent is a 3-time CMO, a 40 under 40 nominee. He's consulted companies like Allbirds and Vans and Calendly. Like, the guy has so much experience, but I'm really excited for this audience to hear about what he's working on at Vyten. So Vincent, man, great to have you here. Thanks so much for being a part of The Spark.
Thanks for having me. I feel like this set is like my dream home library kind of vibe. I love it.
Well, thanks, man. You should come over here and hang out more often.
I'm going to come over here and just read a book.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks again for being on the show. Maybe to kick us off, just maybe tell us a little bit about you and what got you here to Nashville. I know you're not originally from Nashville.
Yeah, so I grew up in California. Never thought that I would move to Nashville. Have always worked in technology. Have always been fascinated by technology. I was one of the people like back in the 90s where like we all learned HTML and JavaScript, right? Because you had to do that to change your MySpace profile. And, from there, even as a high schooler, I ran a very high traffic blog and forum that was getting over 1 million visitors per month. And that was just like what I loved to do. I moved to Nashville, and, Nashville's been a really great technology hub. A lot of healthcare companies here. I did a stint as a CMO for a local Nashville healthcare company. In 2016, I was working for a SaaS company out of San Francisco. We were using, so in 2016, 2017, so you think about like ChatGPT just came out 3 years ago. Back then, we were using AI to answer customer service tickets. We had integrations into Zendesk and into Intercom and like all of the different ticketing tools. And we were answering customer service questions using AI. And this really set me off during the pandemic. Was a period where I think all of us just did a lot of like looking inside. And one of the things that I realized is that, these large companies have an advantage in the marketplace. When you take a look at the resources, the access to technology, the access to talent, you gain unfair advantages in the marketplace because of those resources. So when you think about a Starbucks and the amount of money that they have put into a Starbucks mobile app, and today over 30% of Starbucks' revenue is digital revenue coming through that mobile app.
Yeah.
It's a coffee shop. That's crazy. A third of their revenue. And not only that, Starbucks payments through the Starbucks app actually took off even before Apple Pay did. It was the pandemic that made Apple Pay really take off. That is wild. But when you take a look at what small, medium-sized businesses and, SMB administration, they label small businesses, what, under 50 million?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Under 50 million, you can't compete on the same level. This is really where, in the world that I'm looking at right now, I love companies like Shopify. Because before Shopify, it was hard to launch an e-commerce store, right? WordPress made blogging accessible, but WordPress is also one of the largest platforms they host most of the internet even still today. But Shopify made it possible for the farmer's market stand to compete with larger retailers. And today you have Staples that uses Shopify. Right. You have like all of the love childs of the D2C movement over the past few years have all grown on Shopify. And you have the ability to be able to grow because of the access to technology. mobile apps is a space where I think that advantage still exists, and was really what I set out to try to solve for, is how do you make mobile technology accessible to any business? And in the past 2 years, I would say AI is in the exact same space, because what we were doing with AI to answer customer service tickets back in 2016, and we were doing this for some of the largest retailers online. Today, any brick and mortar business, today, any service-based business can provide the same level of support. And I think there's a part of that where, as humans, we go, is that good? Is that good for my team? Is that what my customers want? And, we recently even turned on AI for the support for our clients. We had a client recently, a brick and mortar health and wellness business up in Canada, send us a email, and within a minute they got a response, and it was after hours for us. We take a lot of pride in how we serve our clients, but the reality is, if you send us an email on a weekend, if we can get a response within a minute, or we can get a response, call it 9 a.m. on Monday, the one that's coming over the weekend is the better client experience. And so we've seen our clients thrilled with it, but this is also what we've really set out to enable for all companies to be able to do.
Yeah. So in 2016, you're learning like AI before AI was even.
Yeah, it wasn't even like called AI back then. It was like natural language processing and like, data science.
Yeah. Wow. Well, maybe just for the audience's sake, talk a little bit about Vyten and what you guys do. And I know we're going to dig into it. I've been absolutely like blown away by what you guys do and how you do it. And I think there's going to be a lot of agency owners listening to the show that are going to feel the same way and hopefully reach out to you.
Vyten's been an incredible journey. So we've built a few communities online. We sold a community during the pandemic that we ran, and part of what we found out on our team was like the technology was the part that we were really good at. And so I just had friends say, hey, like what you built there, like, can you do that for my company? So us building an agency, us building a software platform almost came by accident. We've just been building really cool tools that we want to implement into our business because it provides a better client experience, because it allows us to be able to gain efficiencies. And so we're solving problems in our own business. So some of the problems that we face in our business is, our clients sign contracts with us just like yours sign with yours. And then, it's life happens, work happens. And, you don't want to be the company that's like chasing somebody and bugging somebody. If there was an easy, simple way to onboard them where they could just see the easy, simple steps that they could take, if they had access to an AI bot that can answer the questions in real time, if they had access to videos with a knowledge base that was AI powered, like they would be able to do that. Part of the challenges is like when you have these onboarding tasks, your client might have a problem. You might not be able to meet with them for another 2 days if the calendar's full, but they're ready. They're sitting down trying to finish that task right then and there. And so we built an onboarding checklist that just integrates with our CRM. We use HubSpot. I know you guys do too. And it allows our team to be able to stay in HubSpot. It'll allow our clients to be able to have their own interface that's on their phone. On their phone. Mark, do you know how many times the average American unlocks their phone in a day?
I can't imagine. But when you picked that up, chills just went down my spine of like, man, I don't have my phone with me. I needed to look at it too. You're looking at your phone.
The average person unlocks their phone 205 times a day.
Wow.
The average person spends over 4 hours a day on their phone. We know this. We all get the screen time reports. But here's the thing. The phone is where it happens. The phone is where people already are. So, I oftentimes get asked, like, why did we go mobile? Like, why did we go mobile first? We went mobile first to be able to meet our customers where they are and meet our clients where they already are. And so when you think about, we've been told for 1 million years, own your audience, own your audience. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. Build an email list, right?
Yeah.
Build an email list means own your audience. Today there's an algorithm in our inbox. It's that algorithm that sorts emails between the primary inbox, the updates tab, the promotions tab, and the social tab. And so that's not owning our audience anymore. That's not a direct communication channel anymore, because there is an AI algorithm there that's sorting those emails just like a social feed. So, email open rates are tanking. Today you talk to anybody that has a 45% open rate, they're crushing it. But the average company, they're seeing a big decline in email open rates because of the email filtering. But also, like on the top of the iPhone now, I don't know if you noticed a few weeks ago, anything that's a newsletter, there's literally an unsubscribe button on top of the email on your iPhone.
So easy.
It's so easy. That's not a known channel anymore, right? If we're on a podcast right now, if you subscribe to an Apple podcast and you don't listen to an episode for 3 weeks, it doesn't download new episodes onto your iPhone anymore to save you on storage. And so, as brands and as a podcast host, that's like the worst. You do so much work to be able to get a subscriber just to have people unsubscribe. And so we strongly believe today that, you don't have your phone with you because you're better than me. I just got a push notification. We're literally recording a podcast right now, and I can see what that push notification is about. And the average person opens it 205 times a day. So if you're trying to contact your clients, if you're trying to contact your customers, you can try to email them. You can play the social media game where 5% of your followers will see an Instagram story that you post today. That's why people have to post the same stories over and over and over again to be able to even build up to a meaningful percentage of people. Push notifications get 92% read rate. Push notifications and SMS are the two channels that can cut through the noise. But, I don't know about you, but like, text message for me is like a place for my family, a place for my friends. It's not the place where, I want brands sending me, promotional messaging. But, we expect it on mobile apps. And on mobile apps, you can have way more granular control over push notifications. And so, we've found that by leveraging push notifications, I don't know the exact number, but I know that our onboarding time with onboarding our clients has easily cut in half. And, we've been able to move our mobile app projects now to we can build a mobile app and submit it to Apple and Google in a week. And that's in 1 week. So, we'll get the client onboarded. We'll get all of the things that we need to be able to put the app in their brand, their style, integrate with their tools. And we'll start building it on a Monday. By Wednesday, they can see exactly what every single screen in their app looks like. They can give us feedback. We'll make those changes on a Thursday. And then for the most part, we submit it to Apple and Google on Friday. And, in the mobile app industry in general, I think the average time to build an app is somewhere around like 6 to 9 months. So, if it's 6 to 9 months, we can cut it down to a week. What can we do in making that more accessible to companies? Because we're not spending the labor dollars to be able to manually do all of these things that artificially make the project longer. And so by shortening that up, we've been able to bring the price point down significantly, where we do mobile apps all the time for brands that are just getting started, $10,000 project, where the cost of entry for a mobile app historically has been north of 70 to 100,000. We're not cutting any corners. We're not doing anything differently. We have integrations with so many tools now, and we've got the process really dialed in where we're really efficient, so we can pass that savings on to our clients.
Yeah, Vincent, I was going to say, God, there's a bunch of agency owners out there going, well, whatever you're building is probably pretty wonky, or it's probably, got some bugs in it. But everything I've ever seen from you and what you've produced, it's pretty extraordinary. I mean, the elegance that you design by, the workability of your applications are just like, the mobile apps are just stunning, man. And it is like, I think a bunch of people out there are probably sitting there going, how are you doing that? So like, how have you been able to iterate that quickly and get it out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, in my past life, I spent 10 years working at Best Buy. I did 9 Black Fridays at Best Buy. And, it was my first job in high school. And then by the time I left, I was, covering operations for a large slice of the state of California. But when you do a Black Friday with a retailer like a Best Buy or a retailer like a Walmart, and I'm sure it's the same at Home Depot and Target and all of that too, you don't get many chances to mess up, right? It's so much revenue all in one day that everything is just orchestrated down to like a precise detail. And that is actually really consistent store to store as well. And so, the process engineering of it, of really dialing in and taking a look at like your current workflows. And I think this works for anybody, like whether you're a podcasting agency, whether you do events for clients, whether you do web work, brand work, like I think it applies to all of it. So that was kind of one influence. The second one is in technology repair and like manufacturing processes. And so we got a lot of our inspiration from just like Lean Six Sigma type, just standard practices. But for us, like tactically, there were about 92 steps in a mobile app project. And so we, first step number one is document and figure out what those 92 steps are. Number two, figure out if there's any that you can eliminate. Number three, figure out which ones are dependent on other tasks or other projects. Then number four, figure out who the exact owner is for every single one of those. And then, from there, we could start taking a look at, and like in the age that we're in right now, can you automate it? If you can automate it and the level of quality stays the same, you should definitely automate it. Number two, if you can't automate it, can you throw AI at it? And I think where a lot of people stop is they'll try using AI for something, and then the quality won't be there, and they'll say, what, I can't deliver this to our clients. And they're absolutely right, but that could be your first draft. That could be your starting point. And, you should always have human checkpoints if the AI can't do it. But the second thing is that the AI models are changing so frequently that you need to constantly retest. So we're sitting here today recording this, the episode will come out whatever day the episode comes out. But today, Gemini 3 just came out. Have you played with it?
Not yet.
I haven't, but I just heard this morning, I just heard somebody give a glowing review of it. And, on our team, like we don't use Gemini too much for too many things. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna retest everything that we do. That, there are some things that we use Claude for. There are some things that we use Perplexity for. I know you've been interacting with my Perplexity email assistant.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean there's kind of an inside joke there right now, but we have a meeting that we're trying to schedule with 4 different people. These 4 different people have 4 different company email addresses, 4 different calendars, and we're trying to schedule this meeting. And historically, that's a really hard meeting to be able to schedule. And these are the types of things where AI can help make things more efficient, but we're going to retest all of that. So anyway, going back, we're going to use AI. And then, the last one is really helping our clients with their tasks and not just saying, hey, these are tasks that you own and you need to do, but really analyzing those to say, where are they running into problems? Where do they need help? Where can, in the app development process, there's things that you need to do with Apple and Google. One of the things that we found out is that there's this complex Google task that our clients need to do. And now we just set that up as a 10-minute call. It's a 10-minute call where we just jump on. That's the only thing that we do on that call. They share their screen. We just walk them through all the steps. And we do that because we heard that they were spending 2 hours trying to figure it out themselves. And so, the entire drive just starts from this maniacal focus on client experience and efficiency, not for efficiency's sake, but efficiency in the spirit of client experience. And I think if you keep that as like your guiding North Star, that's how you can just continually improve.
I wanted to invite you to our next Creative Assembly gathering. It's our relaxed, bi-monthly networking event in East Nashville, where ideas spark over drinks and creative collaborations come to life. We meet at 1530 Riverside Drive with light snacks, refreshments, and plenty of free parking. Whether you're an agency owner, part of a creative team, a freelancer, student, or even a business owner curious about collaboration, you're always welcome at Creative Assembly. RSVPs aren't required, but they help us plan for space and treats. Just search Creative Assembly Nashville on Eventbrite or visit creativeassembly.agency/events for details and the RSVP link. Come ready for connections, conversations, and creative collaboration. We can't wait to see you there. You know, you worked with some really big companies out in California, and, you moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
And you've worked for some big companies here, startups, but also some other big ones. I guess, how is, like, the Nashville technology scene, how is it embraced and maybe even helped you, like, build up Vyten?
Yeah, I mean, this has been a great community. So, like you, I love the entrepreneur community. Here, I host a monthly event at Soho House that's called Founders Club. That is all entrepreneurs coming in and learning from each other every single month. And the Nashville hub is growing, and it's not just like the investment dollars that are coming in. Obviously, it's a massive healthcare environment here with HCA and everything that surrounds like the entire ecosystem of HCA. But, really across all industries, like we're seeing growth. And I think, Amazon coming here, Oracle coming here, Alliance Bernstein, I was surprised that they came here. I can't even imagine moving from Manhattan to Broadway. But I think all of that just brings in talent, and you'll find more people like me that move here for one of, I worked for one of the top 5 private employers in Nashville, but we stayed here. And I think the same thing will happen. And I think it's great that these large companies are bringing these high-paying, educated, highly skilled jobs here, because it seeds the community. And, a lot of people, like me and like you come here, you stay and you love it.
Yeah. Well, I'm still stuck on going back to the 7 days or 1 week to like launch this. I guess it, it gives the client a lot of time to test it and then iterate. Is that how it works? Like you deliver it so that then you can let them use it, start iterating on it and build it. Like, how long from the time you launch it till you feel like, man, they're not calling us anymore with like, hey, can you tweak this? Or
it's pretty quick. Yeah, it's pretty quick because, number one, you have to understand their goal in building the app. And if you're aligned on the goal up front, then you're pretty close to the mark. I would say in most of the projects that we do, it's like minor cosmetic tweaks that we make after the project's launch. But building apps is a little bit different than websites, though, because if you build a WordPress site and you don't update any plugins, for the most part, the site won't break. You go updating plugins, you're in a whole different world.
Always.
Right. But if you put a Webflow site up or a Squarespace site up or a Wix site up or a Shopify site up, as long as your credit card doesn't expire, like, the site's going to work, right? With mobile apps, it's complex because new iPhones come out, new Android phones come out. You got all the different manufacturers on the Android phones. So there's like 35 different phone screen sizes that an app will display differently, and that's just on the phones. You add in all the tablets, and then on top of that, on the Apple side, iOS apps have to be compatible with Vision Pro as well. And so there's just a lot of different things in there. And, on the mobile apps, it's not just hosting. So you have your hosting, but you also have your database. You also have your push notification services, third-party payment integrations, and things like that. So there's a decent amount in there to just maintain and keep it updated. And this is part of the problem, And part of the problem is in the past you could go do the $50,000 mobile app project, but when one of these updates happened, it was kind of like you lived in a condo with a HOA and there was like an assessment. Because it's an update that you don't want to make, you just kind of have to make because something in the ecosystem updates and you have to be compliant with the newest version of this or that, or you're going to get pulled off of the app stores. So we wanted to make that simple for our clients. But the other thing that we did is we took on the risk, meaning that historically, if you did an app and there was an update that you had to do, it might be $10,000 in developer labor to make that update. So what we did is we moved it to a flat rate pricing model where our clients just pay a flat rate amount every single month. And if the update is bigger than that, like we own the risk of that. But the other thing too, like the HOA, is that we can more often than not do that update once and then we roll it out to all of our clients. So it's kind of like everybody's chipping in for the gardener so that nobody has to pay, the bill by themselves.
Let's say I'm a small to mid-sized business. A lot of them that you work with probably don't even know where to start to like get a mobile app up and off the ground. Are there any or is there maybe a couple features that you say, man, these move the needle with the KPIs that we need to prove out so that we can be sticky with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, push notifications number one.
Okay.
Like we talked about, like the power of being able to have a directly owned channel. The other thing on push notifications is that you expect to get push notifications way more frequently than emails. So for instance, a lot of our clients that'll send out a weekly email newsletter. So you send an email weekly newsletter, it's got 10 links in it, right? How many links do you click?
Maybe one.
Maybe one.
Maybe.
2% chance you click maybe one, right? Because the average click-through rate is 2% on emails. When you send push notifications, you can send it out as 7 notifications over 7 days, and you have a 20% tap-through rate. And so you can hit multiple things, but it's also like way more timely. So like for anybody who hosts events, imagine sending one push notification when an event gets announced, one before the tickets sell out, one the week before, and then one, like if it's a webinar, even like 5 minutes before the event. So your show up rate is just higher. So we really see the mobile apps as like a container that houses everything, and then push notifications as a delivery mechanism to be able to then get into your branded experience that connects with all of your tools. But feature number 2 for sure right now is the AI chatbot. So, that's been the biggest thing that has changed is we are building custom bots for our clients. So imagine, for instance, like at Snapshot, you have a new employee that starts. And, today you have your onboarding process. So I'm sure that somebody's going to meet them as soon as they walk in. Then there's going to be things to set up their computer, things to get them into all their accounts. They're probably going around, they're talking to different people. But imagine you can also tell that person, hey, download this Snapshot app. And it's a private app where you use their same like Microsoft Office 365 login to log into it. And it's trained off of everything in your SharePoint. It's trained off of all of your SOPs. It's trained off of all your customer communications. And so, when you give that person that AI, they can ask it and they don't even have to know who the expert in the room is. The AI can answer the question, but it can also tell them who the expert in the room is. Like these are the types of things that companies are rolling out now, where historically you just wouldn't do that for onboarding your employees unless you were one of these companies with 50,000 employees that all do the exact same thing, because the investment wouldn't be there. But now if you could say, hey, for a $10,000 investment, would that be worthwhile? The question that a lot of these companies are looking at now is, well, how much does it cost when we lose an employee? And how much does it cost to train a new employee? And how much would it save us if an employee's ramp time went from 6 months down to 60 days? So that's where the AI becomes really powerful.
Yeah. Vincent, a lot of the people that are listening to the show are going to be agency owners. There's some CMOs and whatnot. But You showed me your client onboarding application before, which is in the HubSpot store as well.
Yep.
And I was absolutely blown away by the features, and for anybody that runs an agency that has clients that onboard, and the push notifications there on project management, it was pretty extraordinary. Maybe take a minute and just talk about how you dream that up in case, and we'll drop all this in the show notes so that hopefully people have questions and they'll reach out to you.
Yeah, I love this. We're going to break some news on this podcast right now. So the entire tech stack that we've used to be able to serve our clients, a few months ago, we made the decision to productize that. And it's really come out of, I've shown our internal tools to a few people, and every single person has just said, how can my team use this? So I'm excited to get you and your team onboarded onto the tool, but the name of the platform is going to be called Vyten One. And the word one is just talking about one place, one portal, one place to house it all. The problem that we lived in is, so we're a Google shop. I know you guys are an Office shop, but we live in these Google Docs, in these Google Sheets. We have our project management tool that I don't think any of our clients like. We've changed around every single project management tool, thinking that the next one is going to be better than the last one. And every single one, the grass always looks greener before you do the migration. And, it's so easy to change them too. Mm-hmm. And that's been painful for us. File sharing has been painful for us. Onboarding has been the number one thing to solve, because then you're trying to introduce clients to all these different tools and how you do things at the same time that you're trying to have them complete these onboarding tasks. And so we started essentially building our own client portal for our clients. And we have looked at every single small little detail. Like, for instance, there's no passwords. Everything is magic link, or you type in your email address and you just type in the code, because then none of our clients are going to have to ever worry about they don't know the password to log in, right? The entire thing is 100% mobile friendly. So you can access it from your phone inside of a mobile app, that we can use push notifications to remind our clients, if an Apple renewal is happening, or there's a new terms of service that they have to acknowledge with Apple. These are the things where in the past, where you miss that step, your app is going to get unpublished from the Apple Store. So the stakes are really high. And so we're able to use a multi-channel approach with our clients. But we also want, just like we have AI that our new employees and our new team members can use it to find out questions or answers to questions, we've taken that a step further, and we've said, well, what if we just give our clients access to the same AI models that we use to be able to find answers to our own things? And what we're finding is that we're reducing the friction of working with us, because our clients have access to that, so they don't have to wait for us to answer an email. They can just tap into those answers in the palm of their hand. And so we're excited to be able to open this up to any service-based business. So the platform is going to be called Vyten One. There will be a link down below. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be down below or in the show notes on the podcast episode. And we're going to put your referral link in there, because we have combined all of our tools into one spot. So when I say all of our tools, I'm talking quotes, I'm talking tickets, I'm talking conversations, I'm talking about knowledge base, file sharing, and reviews and referrals are the two things that have driven our business. Over 30% of our revenue comes from referrals from our clients referring to somebody else. Every single one of our clients has a referral link that they can use to refer to us. And these are the types of tools that I want to make accessible to all business owners, because it saves you the money in paid advertising.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you want to just give it back to your clients instead of giving it to the company that you're paying for advertising? And so, we're really excited to be able to share this tool.
Man, I love that, Vince. And you are the Robin Hood of you make available to the small businesses what the big giant companies like Starbucks has. And you're exactly right on that Starbucks app. Man, it drains me every month with my daughter using it, my wife, and I.
It's so good.
It is, and so easy.
And the smartest feature is the refill the Starbucks card, because on the merchant fees, they're getting you to put $50 in instead of them paying merchant fees on, I mean, I would say a $5 coffee, but it's not $5 anymore.
And Vincent, it doesn't even ask. He used to ask, "Do you want to recharge the card?" It doesn't. Now it just gets below $10 and boom, I have 50 more bucks on there.
Just make sure you get your free birthday drink.
Well, hey, what, shifting gears a little bit, like today, what are CMOs getting wrong about mobile apps?
Ooh. I think I'm going to go broader than that in general, even outside of the mobile app space. First-party data. First-party data is the number one thing that every single business owner, agency owner, CMO, COO, everybody should be looking at. And the reason is because in the past, first-party data, like when we talked about first-party data, was just talking about like not being reliant on the ad networks and being able to like access your customers and customer data directly. Now I think it's becoming even more important though, because for our clients that are restaurants, for instance, when they get an order through Uber Eats, that's Uber's customer, not theirs. They don't have an email address, they don't have a phone number, right? They're paying commissions to the platform. And so I think the platforms are a really great way to grow, right? Like for a lot of people listening to this podcast, like you might be early in your journey and, Upwork is a great way to start growing a digital service-based company. But first-party data historically has just been about make sure that you own the direct customer relationship eventually. You can use other platforms for acquisition and awareness and to be able to get started. But today, I think the conversation around first-party data, where it's evolving, is really about AI training. Because if you don't have the data and the data is not in an organized place, it becomes really hard to train AI off of it. So here's what I mean by that is we record every single call that we have with clients, and we record, for the most part, most of our internal calls as well. And so where that call data lives, if it's only in a recording platform and is not in a central repository, you can't then connect one of the LLMs or one of the AI tools to that. It just lives in a standalone tool. Where things get really interesting is when you can start housing customer client data, marketing acquisition data, call data, churn data, payment data, competitive intel, and that you can actually start doing analysis across all of that. Because like sales would benefit from knowing the clients that have stayed the longest and what they see the most value in. Sales operations would benefit from knowing why clients churn and making sure that sales knows which clients churn. And so being able to house all of this data together allows you to be able to then train the AI and leverage the AI to be able to actually gather these insights. And so being able to own your data, number one, but then number two, being able to start organizing your data so that it's actually accessible and it doesn't live in all of these separate tools. This is a part of the reason why we're building our platform on HubSpot, is because HubSpot is where most of our data already lived. And so it made sense for us to use that as a starting point. But data portability is also really big. So we're making sure that, no matter what we're doing, obviously there's privacy policy and, data things with like your contracts with clients. So you got to make sure all of that is buttoned up. But some of the things that we're looking at as we onboard new vendors or new software tools is how much access do we have to data portability so that if we end up changing tools that we don't lose access to that data.
Wow. Well, you've thrown out a bunch of numbers of what it takes to build a mobile app. And I know, it goes way up past, 75,000 to, I've heard $1 million apps. So, but I guess what gave you the conviction to put your pricing on your website? Because like you're very affordable, very fast.
Yeah.
It's but you put it all out there.
We did, and we didn't at first. So we didn't at first. And, you know, as I think back on that, I don't know why we didn't. I think it's just like, as an agency owner, you look at every other agency and nobody else has their pricing. So then you're like, okay, well, if they all must know what they're doing. I think as I started to understand it a little bit more and I started to take a look at like where my core values are, I think that two different clients, one with a higher budget and one with a lower budget, that just because the client with the higher budget has a higher budget, if their scope of work is the same as the other client, that those two clients should pay the same amount. You know, like I don't know if we're the number one mobile app builder in Nashville. I think we are. You know, but it's a small world. You know, we've done the Radish Kitchen app, we've done the Edley's Barbecue app, like both incredible restaurants in Nashville.
Yeah.
I would hate a world where one business owner goes to the other business owner and goes, hey, we have the same app. Like, why did I pay double? And some of this type of stuff does happen in the agency world where it's just you sell it for as much as you possibly can. So I think that was a part of it. But then the other part was, you know, I got over the fear of the reason why you don't put your pricing on your website is you make people book a call so that you get a chance to sell to them. So I had this fear early on that I was missing out on business because people wouldn't book, or people, if the pricing was up there, they wouldn't book a call. And I think what I found was actually maybe the opposite, where there were a lot of people that are not booking a call because they didn't think they could afford it. And so a big part of the reason why we put the pricing up on our website is to say, actually, you can't afford it. Mm-hmm. Like, actually, like if you can afford to pay somebody to build your website, you can afford us to build your mobile app for sure. And so that's kind of where things have evolved. And now that I know like the full life cycle of it, you know, we early on, we'd never used to have one call closes. So it'd always be two sales calls. And now it's actually not unheard of and uncommon for us to have a single sales call close. And I think the reason is that that person has probably seen the pricing on our website a year ago, and they've been in our funnel. We just didn't even know it.
Mm-hmm. What, I mean, you have clients all around the country, even though you've got some here in Nashville.
Yeah.
You speak a lot around, I know. I've heard you and seen you out there speak. And what, and I know you're all in on the technology today. There's not very many people I've talked to that are as knowledgeable about it as you are. What are you the most excited about, like over the next 12 to 18 months with Vyten? Like what is your North Star?
The North Star for us is we've been able to allow hundreds of companies to be able to access this type of technology. We're starting to open up our technology to allow other marketing agencies to use our technology as a reseller. And what ultimately makes me excited is it expands our impact. It expands our impact and it allows us to be able to help more small, medium businesses under 50 million in revenue be able to compete on the same level as a company that might be 500 million or $1 billion. And, you know, I really think that being able to do that, I think most people, Small Business Saturday is the day after Black Friday. Mm-hmm. And I think most of us want to support small businesses. I don't think there's a single one of us that doesn't want to support a small business. And the reality, though, is like where the rubber hits the road is that as a small business, if your level of experience isn't up to par, you're going to lose in the marketplace. And so, you know, as much as somebody wants to support the local salon or the local massage studio versus one of the franchises or versus one of the corporate players, like consumers will be consumers. And I don't like picking up the phone and calling people. And if that's the way that you're doing business today, you might not see an immediate impact, but over time you will see sales plateau. Over time, like there are some clients that we talk to who say, I have older customers. My older customers don't use a mobile app. They don't like a mobile app. Like they call us to make their appointment. And what is challenging, and like what we oftentimes say to those business owners is, hey, you should talk to your son or daughter. You should talk to your grandchild about, you own a massage studio, right? Like ask your daughter who's 32 where she goes to get a massage. And how does she make that appointment? She goes on the website, she makes the appointment. She does it through the app. She wants to be able to reschedule her appointment without having to pick up the phone and call. And we start to see that there's these business owners that they can't pinpoint what it is that's causing their business to plateau, because it's this thing that is, when you step back, it's like a macro change in the environment. And we've had some businesses where they launch their mobile app, and all of a sudden it's like magic. The millennials are coming, right? Because for the Gen Z and for those millennials, it's part of their purchasing decision. And that's the piece that, the business owners weren't seeing, because all they saw were the customers that were there and the ones that it wouldn't resonate with. And I think the competition is going to only increase with AI, where, this might be a controversial take because NPS is like the gold standard, right? Like, every analyst, every expert, every company uses NPS. There's a metric that's called customer effort. That's a different take on NPS. So NPS, for anybody who's listening, is Net Promoter Score. It's would you be likely to recommend this product or service to a family member or friend? And then you can score it 1 through 10, and then the higher it is, the better. Customer ease is different. It's saying how easy is it to do business with us? So it's not talking about like, would you recommend it? It's not talking about like, what was your level of experience? It's just talking about like how little friction was it? And I think in mobile, in self-service with AI, that this will be most easily measured in this customer ease metric. But I also know for me, like, it's how I like to choose to do business with businesses.
You're so right. Yeah. There's very few people there's a lot of people I have on here that are very, very knowledgeable about the marketing world. There's, some that are knowledgeable about AI, but I think you're probably one of the more knowledgeable people that I've, interviewed on the show. And I wouldn't want to leave without asking you just kind of your, like, not prediction, but just like what gives
where are we going?
Like, what gets you the most excited about the AI? I know your platform is all like fully integrated with AI. You've thought through a lot of the different stuff, but maybe, and then what else? What gives you the biggest pause with AI right now?
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty in the AI space, and I think there's a national conversation that's not happening enough right now. So there are definitely regulations that need to be in place to be able to grow AI in a healthy way. And, when you take a look at what has happened with social media, I think we can all step back and say that social media was a net negative contribution to society. Like, if you just objectively stand back and you look at social media and whether we're better off with or without social media, I think the consensus is it's a net negative. Mental health, teenage depression, how teenage adolescent girls feel about themselves physically, echo chamber, the just radicalized perspectives, where the extremes are the ones that get visibility on social media. Most of the country are moderates, right? Most of the country are moderates, but you can't tell that on social media because it's not what gets the attention. And so, I really strongly believe like most people are good people. Most people want to get along. I have no idea where you lean politically, but honestly, it doesn't matter. And I think I think most of us like live like that. Mm-hmm. And I think all of us can look and say, social media is not regulated. It's not. They're covered like a platform. There was, I forget what it was called, it was Title 44 or something. But social media platforms are not responsible for the content because they're a platform. And, with AI, we're in a space where there's not regulation right now as well. And the only regulation, if I understand it correctly, is there's federal regulation that prohibits state level regulation for a certain number of years. And what that is restricting is when you take a look at carbon emissions, for instance. In the state of California, they increased the requirements for vehicles on carbon emissions. We in Nashville benefit from those regulations in a reduction in carbon emissions because automotive manufacturers are not going to make different cars for different states. And so the federal regulations essentially prohibit state level regulations. And at a federal level, we don't, as a country, have the ability to effectively pass policy, which almost then guarantees a lack of regulation. And even the people building AI, the CEO of Anthropic the other day said that he is very uncomfortable being one of the decision makers on what really should be policy decisions. And I think the conversation that we're not having is the massive job impact, where the jobs will change. And when you take a look at what happened in the Industrial Revolution, the jobs shifted, right? And I don't know that we would say, hey, we want to go back to before the Industrial Revolution, but that time period was not comfortable during the transition. And I think that's the piece that gives me pause right now. And I think that's the piece that is part of the conversation that we're not having that we should be having.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It's a great look at it, man. Thank you for sharing that. This has been a great episode. Is there anything maybe, Vincent, that I haven't asked you that you think could be helpful for the audience?
I would say I would actually turn that back on you and go, what's one thing as we head into a new year that every business owner should be looking at?
Man, that's I think the technology, I think the embracing like AI, and that is, we talk about it with our team quite a bit, and it's we have to learn the tools. We have to automate as much as we can within the different tools out there in AI. And it's really to make us so much more efficient.
Yeah.
And, I know that's what you're building into a lot of your apps, but, it's not to replace jobs. Mm-hmm. It's to make our team like superhuman.
Yeah.
And, we can do more work. We can do, faster work. Yeah. Sometimes even maybe better work because we have more time to do it, and we can ultimately provide more strategy to our clients, which is what they're looking for too.
100%.
And, that's where, they may even work half as much as they have to work today. But, so it's like a net win for everyone, especially our clients. And, I think that, and
I think if we could get to a 4-day work week, your company, my company, by being able to leverage these efficiencies, like that's a world that I would love to figure out how to live in.
Yeah, all of us would. Man, you make twice as much, you work half as much, and you produce 4 times the work, you know.
Tim Ferriss might have been early on his 4-hour work week book, because if you go, I bet if we went back and we reread 4-hour work week with an AI lens, I bet that our takeaways would be completely different.
Yeah. Well, Vincent, thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for being a part of the Spark this week. Week in and week out, you come back, and like Vincent said, if you don't download the episode after 3 weeks, it doesn't show up anymore. So please continue to listen, rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast so that we can get this message out to more people. And thanks again for joining us today. And until next time, we'll see you then.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Spark from Creative Assembly. Thanks for spending time with us and exploring the minds shaping Nashville's creative future. If you're walking away more inspired, connected, or energized, that's exactly the point. A big thank you to our sponsor, Snapshot, and the incredible team behind the scenes who make this show possible. Your support fuels every conversation and keeps collaboration alive. So if you haven't already, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, stay creative, stay curious, and keep that spark.